We're going to be touching on a very important subject, especially right now for all our small business owners out there, access to capital. And two is a fun fact about me and Martha. We're both from Laredo, Texas. And it's very rare that I find somebody in small business from Laredo. So I'm really excited about that, to be able to represent my hometown and also Martha's. How are you today, Martha?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me today. I was so excited to know that you're from Laredo too. Very miles apart, but here we are representing our city. So very happy to be here with you all today and to present to entrepreneurs and small business owners as well.
Martha comes to us from PeopleFund, and she is the senior economic officer for South Texas. She has been in that position and in the lending industry for 7 years. So she brings a lot of her experience to assist you guys. So please, if you have any questions regarding access to capital, PeopleFund, or any of that matter, please put it in the chat box and get to it after the presentation. Would you like to share a little bit more about yourself, Martha, while we get started?
Sure, of course. Like I mentioned, I'm from Laredo, born and raised here. I've been working in the nonprofit industry. You mentioned 7 years, but I just turned 8 years. So I started in customer service with another organization. I studied history, so didn't really have much to do with the financial or nonprofit lending world. I ended up loving it because I was helping small business owners, and I was helping not just their businesses, but their families too. So I kind of made it into my own career. So I'm very happy to give back to the community, and I'm very excited because I don't just serve the Laredo market. I serve South Texas. So anything from Eagle Pass down to Laredo, the Valley, up to Corpus Christi and Victoria, that's my region. And we also do have a fantastic economic development officer in North Texas, Holly Burrow. She's on the call, and I'll share her information too in any case that any of your folks are interested in business coaching. We'll give out her information as well. I do speak Spanish, so si tenemos algunos participantes que hablan español, aquí estoy también para ayudarles. So very happy, that I can share this information across the board in Texas and even Oklahoma too. We do Oklahoma lending as well. So due to the pandemic, we're all working from home. I just had a baby; she's 6 months old, so very happy to be, I guess, working from home. Be seeing her grow as well, and continue to still be helping our entrepreneurs across the board. Like I mentioned, today we're going to be giving a little information over PeopleFund and access to capital, of course. So we can move into the next slide, Rose. Okay, so we'll start off a little bit with PeopleFund, who we are, what we do, and who we help. We are a nonprofit community lender established since 1994. We celebrated our 25th anniversary last year, and we are here to help individuals that live in the low to moderate income levels, our entrepreneurs, small business owners, to help them with small business loans, funding and capital when they're not able to, go to a bank, or traditional resource. So we are here to help those folks. We are certified by the U.S. Treasury as a community development financial institution. So our commitment is to serve the underserved markets, which we have a lot of them here in Texas. Our target market are to minority, women entrepreneurs, and of course our veterans. Veterans are very big. They're very big here at PeopleFund, and we love to help them and their spouses as well whenever we can. So we are also a preferred SBA lender. SBA is a Small Business Administration, where we have guaranteed loans by the federal government. So, and we'll go over the SBA programs, later on in our slide. So we can go to the next slide. And like I mentioned, veterans, PeopleFund has included veterans as the underserved population. So this is kind of just a little information on CDFIs. We can move on to the next slide as well. So like I mentioned, we are located all over Texas. Our headquarters are in Austin, but we have an office in San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, of course, Laredo, Edinburgh, El Paso, Houston, and Lubbock. And we do veteran lending, of course, in Texas and Oklahoma. So Oklahoma is opened up right now just for our veterans. That's at the moment, that's what we're working on. Hopefully we get to expand into just doing lending across the board. So we can go and move to the next step, next slide. And for your area, I know you folks are kind of in the North Texas area. The portfolio by region, 29% of the loans that we did in 2019 were in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we're very happy to be helping entrepreneurs and small business owners up there with loans. 35% of our loans have been given to Hispanics, African Americans, 20.5%, white, non-Hispanic, 35%, Asian, 4%, and other 5%. So we give a good mix to everyone. And 2018, 54% of our loans were to startups. In 2019, that increased by 66%. So we see a lot of folks coming out and starting their own businesses, and 89% of the business in Texas comes from small businesses. So your mom and pop shops, nothing about franchises or anything like that, just entrepreneurs making their way. So we can move on to the next slide though. You know what, this is kind of a repeat. It's who we help. So like I mentioned, women-owned businesses, veterans, minorities, businesses in the low to moderate income levels, so which we have a lot of that here in Texas. Rural business, which we see that everywhere, especially down where I'm from here in South Texas. There's a lot of rural areas, so we help out that area as well. And even if you are already an established business, you've been in business for 30 years, you're more than welcome to come to us as well for business lending and even coaching as well. And of course, our startups, so we can move forward. So now on to the good stuff, access to capital. We understand that access to capital is one of the hardest obstacles that entrepreneurs face, just because traditionally when you go to a bank, banks want to see that the business is established. They request 2 years of tax returns, 2 years of financial statements, and sometimes you're within that threshold that where it's like 0 to 2 years that you're considered a startup. You're right in the, maybe have one tax return, one set of financial documents, and so you're usually turned down by the bigger lenders, the traditional banks. So that's why we're here to help, and we understand that that's one of the biggest obstacles for small business owners. So we'll go over a little bit on the process. What to get, what documents to have ready, other things that you should have in mind, how to be bank loan ready, of course. The questions that you need to ask your lenders as well, very important. Choosing the best source of funding. So it not necessarily can be a loan. It could also be in the form of credit cards, borrowing from family or friends. So we'll go over that in just a bit. And also knowing that money is not the only answer when you're starting as a business. Of course, you want to have relevant experience in the industry you're in. So we'll cover that. And of course, ongoing mentorship. What can you perfect? When you're in business, you're always learning something new. So we'll cover a little bit of that too. We can move forward to the next slide. So loan readiness. I didn't mention this, but before I came aboard to the education team, I was a loan officer for PeopleFund for 2 years. So a lot of the questions that I received is about, what do we do here at PeopleFund? How do the businesses, how does the process work? What do they need to review? One of the important things that we see here is your personal credit. We understand that there's also business credit, in the DMV number, but here at PeopleFund, we look at your personal credit, specifically TransUnion, your FICO score. So what's very important is that when you're getting ready to open a business, or you already have it opened and you're seeking capital for whatever reason, you need to purchase new machinery, inventory, or you just want to have a little cushion saved in the bank for rainy days. It's always important to look at your credit history. Here at PeopleFund, you do not need an actual credit point to apply. You don't have to have in the 600s or 700s. What we're going to be looking at is if you have any history at all, whether it's an account or two, whether you received a loan or you have a mortgage on there, a small credit card, we're going to be looking at your history. Have you been paying on time as well? Collections are very important because those harm your credit. Past dues as well. Even if you're 31 days late or 32 days late, that will harm your credit severely by bringing it down a couple of points and having that derogatory mark on there. And I hope everyone has some knowledge about credit. So when you have a late payment or a collection, it's going to be there not just a year or two. It's going to last a couple of years, anywhere from 7 to 10 years, depending on what type of account it is, and also if it's been paid off or not. They can do something that they'll delete it off of your credit report. But if that company does not offer that option, it will stick there anywhere from 7 to 10 years. So unpaid collections can be a vehicle that wasn't paid, a small credit card where you owed $25 and you forgot about it. It just went to collections already. What's very important also are student loans, especially because student loans are government guaranteed. So whenever you are seeking a business loan and you want to, move forward with an SBA program loan, it's going to be very difficult to pass over the student loan that's already in collections because it's a government guarantee loan as well. More than likely, it's going to be denied. So it's for folks that have student loans. You do need to pay them eventually. I know some folks have them on forbearance, but even if you can do that income-driven amount, which is $15, just depending on your income. Don't stop paying on it because it can. When you want to open up a business, it will come back to you. What also is recorded on your tax return are tax liens and, of course, past due child support. And these are policies that we have with the SBA because we partnered with the SBA and we are a preferred SBA lender. We kind of have to mirror the same policies that they have as well. So, of course, if you owe child support, the SBA is going to say, no, why would you like to open a business, or why would you come for a business loan if you can't pay your child support? And sadly, that's the way it goes. And so that's one thing that eventually, if there's a certain amount of time that you have not paid your back pay, it will show up on your credit eventually. I know that some lenders, whether they're banks or other nonprofit lenders, if you do have some type of agreement, a payment arrangement with the attorney office for child support, they will let you move forward as long as they see some type of history of you paying it. You should be good, but other lenders, they just say absolutely not. So it's always just important just to keep everything organized and all of that. So the next item that we see as lenders is your source of income. We need to verify that, of course, you have income coming in. And this is especially for startups. I've seen a lot of clients that come to me and they say, hey, Victoria, I want to open so-and-so industry or company. And I said, okay, you're a startup, this is the steps. And then they tell me, oh, you know what, but I just quit my job 2 months ago or 2 weeks ago. And I said, okay, well, let's give them a ring. Let's see if you can come back because we need to see a source of income coming in if you want to pay off your loan. So this is very important because as a lender, we're going to be viewing this as, can you cover your personal expenses, your home, if you have an auto, groceries, your necessities, your household necessities, if you have children too. So you want to see that you cover that. If you can also cover the business expenses, whatever it might be. And of course, your business loan, your payment, it's going to be a monthly payment more than likely. So the way that we verify this information is, of course, by tax returns. Pay stubs it differs. Again, what bank or what lender you go to will request 1 to 2 or 3 months of pay stubs. What also is considered your sources of income is if you've already been, retired, you have benefits coming in, disability pay. If you are a veteran, you have your veterans benefits coming in. Just a copy of your veterans letter, and we'll cross-reference it with your bank statements. We'll see all that income coming in. So it's very important to, if you're a startup, to keep that money coming. Now, if you are a business that you've been existing more than 2 years, whatever owner's salary that you might have, of course, that's going to be your source of income. So whether you have something set up for your payroll that goes direct deposit to your bank account, that's how we'll verify that as well. The next item that we have here is a business plan. So what I tell my clients is a business plan, you need it in every step that in your business, whether you are starting up, of course, you're going to require it. But even though you're, I guess, in the midlife of your business plan, you plan to have your business for X amount of years, and then you plan to pass it down to your child or grandchild or anything like that. It's always good to have this. And this document is that it's always going to be a living document, no matter what circumstances you're in, because we need to plan for the future. Or say, for example, you're good one day, 1 month, and you're good on capital, but something broke down. Say, for example, like my clients that are in the trucking and transportation industry. So we see a lot of those, and they obviously have to have a little extra cushion on the side because something can go wrong. Your tires are very expensive. The engine goes out in another state, and you have to use, the liquid funds that you have available in your savings. So whenever that's the case, we need to have a business plan in place if you're a startup, and anywhere in any case where you're at in your business. So usually what's on there would be a copy of your resume or just an executive summary of who you are, if you have any relevant experience in the industry as well. We here at PeopleFund, we like to have our clients have at least a year of experience in the industry. And also knowing your project or your project scope or your project budget. So that would be, say, for example, I'm starting up a business and it's going to cost me $100,000 to have all of my machinery, all of my inventory, payroll set up, a cushion, working capital on the side. It's very important to have that lined out. I've had clients that come to me that say, hey, Victoria, I need $200,000. And I say, okay, how are we going to use that? Oh, I just need $200. I'm like, no, we have to have everything in place. So the next thing that comes up on the business plan is the use of funds. Knowing how much money you're going to need for inventory, for purchasing machinery, or having working capital. For startups, they also do request 2 to 3 years of financial projections. So that would be like your cash flow statement, your profit and loss, or your income statement, that's also known by, and also your balance sheet, which covers your assets and your liabilities. The business description, of course, to know what exactly you're doing in the business. And you know what, use of funds is on there twice. My bad, I'm sorry about that. And also market research. Have you done, any research around the certain amount, maybe a 2-mile radius? For example, you want to open up a flower shop, but there's 1/2 a mile away from you. How is that like? How are you going to be drawing in your clients to go to your flower shop rather than the competition? So just, checking all of that. And what I tell my clients what a business plan is, I know who they are because I talk to them on a day, maybe not a daily basis, but every other day, or throughout the process of the loan by phone calls, whether pre-COVID, of course, before when it was face-to-face meetings. And so I know what you're about. I know who you are. I know what you're doing in business, but the underwriters, the individuals that are going to be reviewing your loan package, they don't know who you are. So it's very important to be very detailed on your business plan. Also, the next one is collateral. Collateral is any business assets that you may have. So say, for example, at a bank, they require you to have collateral up to 100%. So what that means, if you are requesting a $100,000 loan, you need to back it up with any business equipment or inventory that is worth the $100,000. Here at PeopleFund, depending on what loan program you use, so we do not need to collateralize your loans by 100%. And what can be used as collateral could be, like I mentioned, any business machinery and business equipment, down to the desk, down to your laptops, even if you have a small printer, throw it in there as well. Any inventory as well. So, depending on your lender, some will take your inventory at a 25%. So say, for example, your inventory cost you $100,000, they only take it at 25%. So it's very important to kind of have a good, I guess you can say, history, or have it written up, or if you have QuickBooks where you can put in all the worth of all of your assets, all of your inventory, it's really good to have that already in place. So if you are in the case that you're starting up a business and you don't have any current, assets or machinery and your business equipment, whatever you're going to be purchasing with the funds, say you're coming in to purchase a semi truck, that can also be for you to be covered with collateral. So what we'll do in case of vehicles, we will put a lien on the vehicle title, and of course, when the loan is paid back, the lien comes off. So that can be used, of course, it's going to be business equipment, a business vehicle. If you are in the case where you're not going to purchase that a big amount of inventory, you need just capital, whatever that you have as a personal asset. Say you have a vehicle that's already been paid off, the title is free and clear, we can also use that as collateral as well. And when it comes to already having existing business equipment or assets, we do have to do some type of inspection, whether it's just taking pictures of all four sides, the VIN number, how the mileage, or if you're in the restaurant business, going into your kitchen, taking pictures of everything, and your tables and chairs, all that good stuff. So that's more or less the process that we take. Another very important point that we have here is your equity, your personal injection, which is also known as the skin in the game. I'm sorry. Some lenders require you to have a 20% or even 30% of personal injection. So what that means is if you are going to a bank requesting a $100,000 loan, because of their policy, they have a 30% of equity required. That means you have to have $30,000 liquid funds already in your account. So most folks, when you're a startup, that kind of turns them down. Us here at PeopleFund, we only require a 10%. And what can be used as equity, of course, can be your savings. I've had a few clients that they say they want to take out of their 401k or their retirement fund. That's fine and everything. We do request, of course, statements for the last 3 months just to make sure that the funds are there. And at the end of once it gets approved and we're going to closing, we do have to see that fund already liquid in one of your bank accounts, in your business bank account. So say you're taking out $10,000 of your 401k, before we do closing, it needs to be shown on your business bank account. Let's see, the next point is, are you also competitive? I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Your business must be competitive as assessed by a lender. So like I mentioned, doing your market research, knowing your clients too, how are your products going to be helping your clients? How are you going to be selling it? If you have a flower shop down the street from you, what makes you better as well? And the next point is, I mentioned this already, understanding your financials. It's very essential when running a business. So your financials, like I mentioned, is a profit and loss statement, how much money is coming in, how much money is going out for your expenses, whether it's rent, utilities, payroll, any supplies, cost of goods sold, all of that good stuff goes into this statement. Your balance sheet, showing what you pay for your liabilities. If you had already had a loan in the past, that goes under liabilities. And of course, your cash flow. How are you going to be in the beginning of the month versus the end of 2 or 3 months from now? How much money you have available in your bank. So that's pretty much what covers when you are interested in getting a loan, and what documents you need to prepare. Like I mentioned, also your credit is very important. So we can move on to the next slide. So this is very important questions to ask your lender. We'll go ahead and start with the interest rate. Is your interest rate a loan or variable? Variable can be like a balloon payment, where your interest can be at a 5% 1 month, and the next month it will be at a 12%. And of course, that's a 7% increase, and that's going to affect your loan payment. So knowing if it's a fixed interest rate, when you're coming to request a business loan, of the interest rates are going to be a little bit higher than a personal loan. Why? Because the business it's a little bit more of a risk, especially if you are a startup business as well. The next point that we have here is about insurance. Do I have to have insurance as a condition of a loan? If so, what type of loan? So I know some lenders above maybe 3,000, they are required to have credit, life, and disability insurance. So what that means is that they need, if in any case, the borrower passes away and are not able to give or pay off the loan, that credit, life, and insurance comes into place. So you won't have to, put that loan on a loved one or your business partner if you do have, you're partnered up with someone. Liability and property, this comes in with your collateral. A lot of lenders need the liability insurance to cover, your business equipment. Say, for example, you rent out a suite and you're a restaurant, and of course, fire, you're dealing with fire, you're dealing with, cooking and everything here and there, and there's accidents that happen. And even here in Laredo, recently we had a restaurant that was, burnt to the ground because of an accident. So, and if that's ever the case, we have the liability insurance that comes in and can pay off your loan or the certain, the balance that you have you have coverage on your collateral. And of course, property comes in when you have the business property in place for collateral. That's one thing I forgot to mention. Property also, we can use it as collateral. In the state of Texas, because we are a homestead state, we're not able to use your home if that's the only property that you own. But if you do own a business property, or if you have an extra home that you as a rental property, we could use that as collateral, and we just put like a second lien on there if you do owe it. If not, we'll go through a similar process of when you're purchasing a home. So that comes into play when you put property as a collateral. We will need a property insurance. The next point here, we're doing questions at the end, right? Yeah, okay, perfect. The next point here, is there a monthly service fee for my loan? It could be a 1%, 2%, or if you're lucky, you will find a lender that has a 0% fee, service fee. The next bullet is, do you give a loan interest rate discounts if I have a business account or business credit card with you? Of course, this pertains more over to the banks. We don't have any bank accounts with PeopleFund. We're just a community lender. But some banks do give you a rate discount when you open up a business checking account, business saving account. They'll give you an interest buy down of a 1%, 2%, whatever, what have you do, depending on the bank that you're at. Closing costs is a very important item here too. Closing costs can be anywhere from 3% to 5%, or it can be just a fixed amount. Say you're getting a $25,000 loan. The closing cost for that specific program can be $500. What you also need to ask when we're talking about a closing loan, closing cost is, do I have to pay it up front at the closing? Whenever you're doing your signing off on your closing documents, do I have to give a check that same day that we're doing that? Or is your closing cost, can it be financed with your loan? So that's also an important question to ask your lenders. The second point is what post-loan support do you provide, such as business training, education, and workshops. More recently, I'm seeing a lot of banks now give support when it comes to education and financial education. They're giving a little bit more workshops, or what's your next step after you receive your loan, after you open up your business. Where do you go from there? So it's always good to ask, and like I mentioned, we're always learning when we're in business, and knowledge is power, I believe, too. So it's very important to know what that specific bank or what that specific lender offers after your loan. And this is a very important question that I get a lot, is there a penalty for paying early? Here at PeopleFund, there is no prepayment penalty whatsoever. Whatever your balance is, say I got a call Tuesday and they say, hey, Martha, can you give me a 10-day payoff statement? And I share, of course, say it's X amount, 35,000, for example. If you were willing to pay it that same day on the 10th day, you will just be paying your balance. So, if it's 35,000, it doesn't accrue anymore, and we don't charge you a fee because you want to pay it off. Of course, we're here to help our small business owners and entrepreneurs. So at PeopleFund, there's no penalty whatsoever. And then other capital options. So if you are seeking funds, but for whatever reason, it could be due to credit, you cannot get a business loan. Here are some other options for you. Of course, will be credit cards, but we do need to realize that when getting a credit card, it's an introductory rate. Say, for example, for a year, it'll be 0% interest, but coming in the second year, they'll charge you a credit card fee of X amount, and then your interest will go up to 27%. So where does that put you? You're going to have say, for example, you have a small balance, but due to the increase on your APR to 30%, it's going to be high. You're not going to pay it off if you're just getting your minimum payment. So do look out for that. Payday loans. This is known as predatory lending, and the reason why is because the interest rates are extremely high. I've had clients where they come to me and we've refinanced these small payday loans, and because it was an emergency loan. This is their only option at that time. They got a small loan of $1,000. They ended up paying almost twice as much. So if you do not need it right away, it's better for you to wait, especially if it's something with your credit that can be fixed in 2-3 months or so, and you don't need that capital. It's always better to wait and then go back to your original lender, your bank, instead of getting this payday loan, because like I mentioned, you're going to be paying a lot more than just small interest and your principal balance. There's also person-to-person financing, where individuals are here. There's something called angel investors, and why they're called angel investors is because they kind of come out of nowhere, and they come and say, hey, you know what, I like your business or your product. Here's $100,000, for you to use. Now we need to be very careful when there's the angel investors or any other different type of investing, because either they would want to get paid back with a certain amount of interest rate, or they're trying to buy into your business as well. So you would have to give them a certain percent of ownership. So just be very careful if you ever have that option of someone investing in your business, and have everything in writing too. Before COVID, we transitioned over being home-based, being a home-based business, I helped out an individual that had started a daycare, with a partnership. She was not family, she was just a friend. And she was trying to get out of it, and she was going to give her a certain amount, that belonged to her, or profit to her. She promised $15,000 at the very, last moment, because there was nothing in writing. She was only able to get $7,000. So always have everything in writing. And then, like I mentioned, we are also an SBA lender. So we have SBA microloans that go up to $50,000. And this is for CDFIs. We're considered which is a community development financial institution. We also have the SBA Community Advantage loan that goes up to $250,000. The SBA Small Loan Advantage, this is usually seen at the banks, goes up to $350,000. And then the SBA Guarantee and the 504, you'll see this a lot of the banks that can go up to actually $5.5 million. So this 504 loan is something that's worked between a CDC lender, CDFI lender like PeopleFund, and a bank that has the authority to do SBA 504 loans, because not every bank is an SBA lender. And how this will be worked is that the bank can finance 50% of your project. The CDC or the lender like PeopleFund, the nonprofit, can come in and finance 40%, and the client is responsible for that 10% of their personal injection, or liquid funds, like we mentioned in the previous slide. So there's always that option on there too. And 504 loans are usually used when purchasing real estate, heavy machinery that will be used anywhere from 10 to 20 years. And I've seen that there's not a lot of SBA 504 loans that we've done here in Laredo, but from the ones that I've seen, many of them have been used to fund big construction projects, construction companies that have, the big highway or, building a federal government building, things like that. So that's when we see the 504 loans come in place. And we can go on to the next slide. And then, so a little bit about PeopleFund. What makes us different than other lenders and banks as well? So, like I mentioned, we're a nonprofit business lender. So, you're coming to us. You're a nonprofit. Say, for example, a church. You're coming to us. You're able to receive a loan with us. That will, of course, has a different process because it is a nonprofit. But most banks do turn down nonprofits, and so we're here to help them as well. Like we've been mentioning, we're CDFI, so we support the underserved populations. We don't have an application fee. Believe it or not, you will see this a lot in banks or even in credit unions too, whether it's $5, it's $30, or a certain percentage of the loan if you're approved. So the good thing is that here at PeopleFund, we do not have an application fee. Like I mentioned, with credit, we check only TransUnion. So you do not need a minimum credit score to apply with PeopleFund as long as you have some type of history. Low loan equity contribution, like I mentioned, your personal injection, 10% is the max amount that you'll see with us here. And of course, the flexible terms, no prepayment penalty. And we'll go into the terms in just a little bit on the next slides when I go over the loan programs. Post-loan business training and support. This comes after your loan. If you need any assistance with whether it's finishing off of your business plan or adding into your business plan, starting your income statements, all those financial documents, we are here to support you. And that's what my department does. We're the education department. So this is where we come in play. Like I mentioned, also we offer a variety of loan products, and we'll see that in just a bit. I'll go over each one of them. And as part of the education team, we also have tailored technical assistance and business education instructions, workshops. We offer one-to-one business coaching as well, advising and mentorship, and our online resources as well. Mentorships, at one point, we had about 50 or 60 so across the entire state of Texas. So that was attorneys, individuals that are experts in marketing, advertising, you name it. We had the whole group on there for you to help our small business owners or entrepreneurs. And of course, we offer the loan application support and loan readiness. If you are nervous or you don't know what to do on a certain document that the loan officer sent you, either you can speak to your loan officer or you can come to one of us too in the education team. I've helped package loan applications, even being in the education team as well. But why? Is because a lot of them have been returning clients, or because they're just simply comfortable with us since they've already met with us prior to applying with PeopleFund. They did some type of business coaching. So we do offer that. Some of our lending strengths is that 97% of our loans have been to our target market, whether it's minorities, women entrepreneurs, and veterans. 66 of those have been to startups. Like I mentioned, 2018, we had 54% of startups that we assisted, and it's increased to 66%. So I think that's fantastic that we're helping out, new entrepreneurs coming in all over Texas. We have been compared to other nonprofit lenders and banks, and we have one of the lowest interest rates right now, lower fees as well, faster service that I've seen as well. Especially when it's coming, when you're doing an SBA loan. SBA does take some time just because it's documents that we require, plus documents that you need to fill out for the SBA as well. The good thing is that we have 2 in-house SBA experts that will review and process your loan a little bit quicker, rather than some of the banks. They don't have that available, and they have to send the whole loan package over to Washington to get reviewed. So that takes fairly more weeks, or it can be up to a month or two. just depending on the circumstances, every loan application, every small business owner is very different. So that differentiates us a lot. The loan programs that we've had in response to disasters such as Hurricane Harvey that hit Texas pretty hard, we did have some type of loan program to help those folks. And I know what on that program we had a 0% interest rate for their first 6 months, or they had another option. I believe that the first 6 months, PeopleFund paid their loan payment for those first 6 months, so they can have a little bit of wiggle time to, I guess, to start up, their businesses again, because most of them would just shut down to the floor. All of their equipment, all of their business inventory was just, out of here when that hurricane came through. So we do have those available. Flasher will go over in just a little bit. So one of our programs. Recently due to the pandemic, we did respond with a COVID assistance for payments and also a disaster program as well. So I know a lot of, if you all don't know, we did have a PPP loan, funding from the government, and so we had that assistance here at PeopleFund, and we also assisted folks with the EIDL loan, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. So that one worked directly with the SBA, but it was taking some time. And of course, because the economy shut down for a while, it was taking even longer. So we did have a bridge loan from $25,000 or up to $60,000 to help those folks. We were able to fund them in lieu of, not in lieu, but while they were waiting on the response for their EIDL loan. So that's how we assisted a lot of our small businesses across Texas. Also, our portfolio risk on all loans, no loan sales or contracting out of service. So what that means is that you receive a PeopleFund loan, it will stay on our books. We won't sell it out to any other lenders or banks. You usually see that a lot when it's with banks or even your mortgage companies too, for those who own a home. You can close one day, and then when your payment is due, it's a completely different mortgage company. So we do not do that here. Hopefully, if they're still here with PeopleFund, whoever you dealt with as your loan officer, if you have any questions, you'll be dealing with them. If you had any business coaching, business advising, we'll be here to assist you as well, so it won't be sold off to any other loan. Our 2018 net loan charge-off, so that means folks that were not able to pay their loans, was at a 0.7%. 2019, our loans were at a 0.19%, which was even lower. And the reason that is, whenever you come to us and say, for example, you're not able to give your loan, you've been given, say, 6 months of perfect payment history. On the 7th month, there was some type of emergency, you're not able to cover your payment in that month. It's very important to be in communication with your loan officer, because we offer extensions, whether it's 1 or 3 months extension that you're not able to pay your payment. We have that available. We also do restructure our loans. So as long as there's communication with our clients, we're able to help them, assist them throughout the life of the loan if they're not able to give a payment. And so PeopleFund loan products that we have available, like I mentioned, we're an SBA preferred lender. So the micro loan goes up to, it starts at $1,000, goes up to 50%. The current interest rate right now is at a 7%, which I think is fantastic. It's one of the lowest interest rates that I've seen currently right now for a business loan across a few lenders. The terms is up to 5 years, so 60 months. If you are a startup, we do give you the first an additional 3 months of paying your interest only. So the first 3 months is going to be interest only payments, which is great for our startup because that gives you a little bit more of a wiggle room to kind of get things starting. If you're purchasing equipment, purchasing inventory, renting out a location, and you're doing leasehold improvements, it just gives you enough time to have everything set up. Like I mentioned, the SBA Community Advantage is up to it's above 50,000 to 250, 7 years, 84 months at an 8.25%. Like I mentioned, the extra 3 months if you are a startup, it is across all of our programs with the exception of the Flash Fund, which is up next. The Flash Fund was made for business owners that needed quick funding. So I've done when I was a loan officer, I did a flash fund. Did an application, sent me their documents, and they were funded within 3 days. So the only documents that we need for this one are their bank statements, whether it's personal and business, your business registration, a copy of your ID, and your credit. We do need a minimum credit on this one, which has to be at least at a 600. If you're at a 600, no collections, no late payments, you're eligible for 15,000. And then the next step on the flash fund, we can go up to 25,000. You do have to have at least a 650 credit point to go up to the 25,000, and the terms are at 5 years. The interest rate is a little bit higher just because we don't request a lot of your financials, so interest rate would be at a 14%. Now, if you're not eligible for an SBA loan for whatever reason, it could be whether it's credit, whether you have a history, and someone was in prison, it can be certain misdemeanor, for whatever, what have you. Because we're dealing with the federal government, you can also receive what is just a regular PeopleFund loan. The interest rate is at a 12%, goes up to $350,000, and depending on the amount, it will be a 5 to 7 year average term. So these are the current rates. Of course, they can change due to prime, but prime just lowered. So these hopefully will stay with these current interest rates. Like I mentioned, we do have interest rate buy-down programs. So the veteran loan rate that we have available for all veterans that are honorably discharged, individuals that are in active duty, or spouse of veterans, we have it at a 5% interest rate. And the only document that we need additional from the regular loan package would be your DD-214, and it does have to stay honorably discharged, so you can receive that 5%. And this 5% can be used whether you receive a microloan, whether you receive a flash fund, you will receive that 5%. For the Fort Worth area, we do have the Healthy Food and Finance Fund. So if you're one of those health food gurus out there, you're planning, or if you do have a healthy restaurant, we do have funds available for Fort Worth and in the El Paso area as a buy down interest. So that just depends on what loan program, and then whatever the rate discount is, they'll go ahead and lower it as well. And this is my favorite part to present. And yes, that's me on all of the pictures. These are from the events that I've done. So we're really big on women entrepreneurs. We actually just received again a grant from the Tory Burch Foundation. I'm sure a lot of, if we have women on here, even some men, Tory Burch, handbag designer, and she does kind of a little bit of everything now, clothing and shoes, perfumes, all that good stuff. We received this grant once again, and we're actually one of the only nonprofit lenders in the state of Texas to receive this grant. So they give us a certain amount of funding. That funding, we go ahead and turn it around and do a 2% interest buy down for women-owned businesses. You do have to own 51% or more to be eligible for this interest rate, and it would only cover for the first 100,000. But if you're seeking a loan of 25,000 and your interest rate is at a 7%, it'll go down to a 5% because you're a woman-based business. So the reason why we have this available is because a lot of women are intimidated to go to a bank. They kind of just try and do it on their own, right? But we have this available, so our women out there, if anyone has that entrepreneur spirit, there is programs, there's buy down grants that are here to help you all. So we're very fortunate to have this grant available. We do also have 2 women business assistance centers. We do have one in Dallas and also in Austin as well, which is called the Bloom Lab. They're differentiated a little bit, but our fantastic economic development officer, Holly, can help you at the Dallas Fort Worth area as well. And this is used for business coaching. The Bloom Lab is actually a co-working space that we have in our Austin office, but of course, since it's located on the same floor where our business advisors and business department is at, so you have them right next door. If there's any questions that you might have or want to set up an appointment, we have that available for them too. And so one of the things that I've been doing since I've been at PeopleFund, here in Laredo, locally, we had never done a Women's Day proclamation. So I was able to partner up with our county and our city. And so we've had that going for the last 2 years, and we've had a fantastic turnout. The first year we did it, I think we had over maybe 94 people show up for their Women's Day proclamation. So that was great. It was just a panel of successful women entrepreneurs that started from zero and have helped our community one way or another. People Springs, we'll go over that in a little bit. So we can go on to the next slide. Like I mentioned, the required documents that we need for, when applying for a loan. Of course, this goes for startups and existing businesses. We'll start with the personal documents. And these are the documents that are required with PeopleFund, and it may differ with other lenders. Of course, it's going to be your ID. Some of these forms, like the borrower information form, your personal financial statements, are forms that you send out to the client, so we have that available for you all. Like I mentioned, how we verify income as well, bank statements, your tax returns, and of course your resume, just letting us know if you have relevant experience in the industry. We can move on to the next slide. So these are the documents that we will be needing as far as on the business side for startups. Like I mentioned, business plan, projections, proof of your equity, your personal injection. Sorry, that's at a 15%. If you have already done your EIN, your IRS EIN number, which is your employment identification number. In other words, that's kind of like the Social Security for your business, so you won't have to go out and use your own personal Social Security for anything that you might need that for. Collateral description sheet, just letting you know what you will be using for collateral. Your verification for use of funds, how you're going to be using your fund, your loan if approved. If you have any quotes or anything like that, that will be suffice. Say you're purchasing an equipment, truck or anything, your quote or an invoice would work for that. Business step schedule, that's something that we provide, and your credit unavailable elsewhere. So that just means that you haven't recently applied or received a loan by any other lender or bank. For existing, it's kind of the same documentation that we use, with the exception of the business plan and of course the financial projections, just because when you're considered existing, that means you're 2 years, you've been in business for 2 years or longer. So we can move on to the next slide. And this is just a little bit that I wanted to add in there. It's a lot for my area because it's here in Laredo. We are one of the largest ports in the U.S., so we see a lot of trucking and transportation companies. So we have a different program for trucking. But if anyone has any questions, just feel free to ask away. This is a lot of information for the time that we have available. So we do help, though, our clients get their U.S. DOT numbers, their DMV numbers, all of that good stuff. So just letting you know that our coaches are available for that industry as well. Like I mentioned, our education and training department, we're here to help you, whether it's one-to-one business advising, looking at, or trying to get you a mentor that specifically works in your industry as well. We also help you with online education, our online education portal, which we're currently working on and updating at the moment. Business plan and financial projections that we can help you with, all that good stuff. And then this is our educational programs that we have available. My favorite one, like I mentioned, I love to do women's events. So we have the People Spring on there, which is a women's panel, of women sharing their stories when they're starting the business. We have People that is for our veterans. They're coming out of their active duty, getting back to civilian life, and they want to open up a business. So we have that available, which is, how to start a business. And this is also available for spouse of veterans. People Spark, which is our startups for individuals that are not a veteran. It's basically the same thing. And in Spanish, we have something called Fuerzas Financieras that we will be starting up in 2021, which is a Spanish series, on how in business financial education, how to fill out, your financial documents, how to start a profit and loss, a balance sheet, whatever, what have you. So all of these great stuff. it will be available this coming year. Of course, COVID came, and so a lot of our programming or presentations were canceled, unfortunately. And this is basically it, folks. Contact our team if you are interested in a loan. We do have our regional lending manager, Miss Erica Hirsch. Like I mentioned, our fantastic economic development officer for North Texas, Holly Burrow, and myself if you are in South Texas, or if you are coming into us and only speak Spanish, or have someone that you know that only speaks Spanish, I will be available to assist you all as well. And so that's basically it. I know we need to move on to questions, correct?
We are running short on time, but I do want to address one specific question that I've received a few times here in the chat is, does PeopleFund help any small businesses outside of the state of Texas? And I know that I've asked you this question as well. I'll let you answer that, as I've mentioned to some people that you have partners that you work with outside of the state.
Yes, so at the moment, just outside of Texas would be in Oklahoma, veterans that are honorably discharged. They are able to apply with PeopleFund. But as far as anywhere else, we do not. We do have our sister organizations like Lift Fund. I believe they're across 13 states. There's Dream Spring and also Acción that can help them. Acción New Mexico did a name change to Dream Spring, but I know they're available in California, what is New Mexico, that whole area. So we do partner up with them, and they're available for those other states as well.
Thank you, Martha. I just had one.
Sure.
You come from a long line of entrepreneurs yourself. Is there any last minute advice that you would give to all our small business owners, not just our women owners, but everyone that's watching? Is there any advice that you would give them during this time?
Sure, of course. So like I mentioned, I do come from a line of entrepreneurs. My both grandmothers were entrepreneurs. One of my maternal grandmother owned a pharmacy. She was a pastor. She did a whole bunch of stuff, and I always saw her so interested in doing all these new businesses in different industries, and she never gave up. So it is a lot of work when you're starting a business, but that's why we have organizations such as PeopleFund to assist you all for mentorship, for business advising, business coaching. And if there's something that we can't do because we're mainly generalists, we will find you a mentor that can help you in your specific industry. If there's something that we do, is that we partner up a lot with the banks. Some banks might have a better program for you as far as funding. And we also do partner across the state with the small business development centers as well, which are business advisors. So whether you're coming in as a startup business or you are an existing business, we're here to help. And if there's something that we can't do, we'll go ahead and send you out to one of our great partners. And it's a lot of work, but I just I hope that whoever has the entrepreneurial spirit, you can move forward with it. So yes, we are here to help you all. And then my word of advice is just to keep on going. It's gonna get hard, but eventually it will pay off. And I've seen that many times with a lot of our clients.
Raul is joining us now. Raul?
Yes, thank you. Great. A lot of information, very useful. And I know that at the beginning you talked about credit and your own personal credit. And I wanted to tell the audience that we have in our YouTube channel, look us up, search Jobs for Progress National Inc. We have videos for financial literacy. There's one on where is my money going? Another one, am I credit worthy? And we have also on identity theft. There's a lot of information there about credit. If you're going to be applying for loans, whether personal, whether for business, just look us up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Martha, thank you for your time. Great information. Melissa, as always, thank you. And until then, have a blessed one, everyone. Bye now.